Welcome to another episode of the Transforming Lives podcast panel. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Pankhurst.
And I'm Charmin Prince.
And we are here to solve the problems of the world one episode at a time.
Be sure to smash that subscribe button, review, and download. And don't forget to invite a friend.
Let's go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Transforming Lives podcast panel. And I'm your host, Charmin, and I'm joined by Cheryl and Mitzi. And we would like to welcome you to the Transforming Lives podcast panel. And as usual, we like to start with a grounding exercise, and Cheryl will lead us into that exercise.
Thank you, Charmin. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us. If you could just take a moment, close your eyes, and just be present with us. Take a couple of nice, deep belly breaths. Feel the ground under your feet. Feel the chair supporting your body. Maybe feel a slight breeze on your face. And just be here with us. You've invested some time to join us and listen, and we'd love for you to really be here as we want to be here together. And welcome back.
Thank you. Awesome.
So today's topic, hopefully we can stay awake for it, is sleep. The elusive good night's sleep. I don't know about you women, but within the last few years, I have lost the ability to fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed on my own. And we all know that sleep is one of our major recovery components in our world. So if we don't get enough sleep, we are, irritable and restless and yawning all day and just not being able to focus and concentrate. And we wanted to talk about that today because I think it affects all of us at some point in time. And if it's not affecting us, then we want to know what's helping you. And I don't know, I found that for me, this started in COVID. And I am one of those people that could have 5 hours of sleep, fall asleep right away, wake up after 5 hours and feel like $1,000,000. And I've always been like that. And it doesn't matter if I go to bed at 10, 5 hours later, I'm awake. If I go to bed at 12, 5 hours, I was awake, but I felt great. My body just needed that 5 hours. And then COVID hit and had some major transitions in my life. And then took me an hour to fall asleep. And then I'd wake up at 1 and I wake up at 3, and then monkey brain starts going, all the things I need to do the next day or what I forgot to do that day really affected me. And I tried just about everything. And luckily, as I'm working towards some remedies, I have a couple of things that worked and a couple of things that didn't work at all. But just to go back a little bit of how much sleep really affects us. Our sleep affects even our eating habits, our digestive system. So when we have a leptin chemical in our brain, allows us to say, hey, you're full. But if we're not getting sleep, that leptin doesn't function like it should. And so it doesn't tell our brain we're full. So overeating, diabetes, it's chronic respiratory, and that's where sleep apnea comes in. It could lead to long-term, the chronic long-term insomnia could lead to diabetes. And there's different types of sleeplessness or insomnia. And one of them is, I know, restless leg syndrome, which I have struggled with, sleep apnea, and let me think about the other one is, narcolepsy is another sleep disorder. And I don't know if you know what narcolepsy is, but it's being able to fall asleep, not being able to, falling asleep at any point in time, doesn't matter where you are. And it's not an option, and you just fall asleep almost like fainting. And so that would interrupt your sleep pattern as well, of course. So for me, it was focus and attention. It was just not feeling like I had any energy, and I'm a high energy person. So when I would wake up in the morning and still feel like I was dragging my ass all over the place, it was really starting to affect me. And so last year I started coming up with trialing some remedies. And so before we go to those remedies, talk to me. How are you feeling about your sleep?
Um, I I wish I had the luxury of enjoying 7 or 8 hours of sleep. I don't think that I can remember ever sleeping for 8 hours or 7 hours there. My sleep cycles, I may go for 2 or 3 months and survive on 4 hours of sleep. And thereafter, 6 hours, I think is the most that I sleep at night. If I happen to wake up during the night, it is so difficult to fall back to sleep. And, as you said, the monkey brains just keep going. What did I miss during the day? And what am I going to do tomorrow? And how am I going to fix this? And my mind goes. And what I find, once my mind goes, once I start to think, I'm unable to fall back to sleep. So I've tried so many things to help me. And as far as I could remember, I think I started to have sleep problems in my adolescent years. Um, but of course, no one ever paid attention that this could eventually become a problem for me. And so one of the things, when I'm unable to sleep well, it affects me emotionally. It affects my mood.
Mhm.
I am irritable. I don't think I overeat, but I have experienced some of the symptoms that you have listed: respiratory problems, digestive problems, and now I have to go do a sleep study. Because the doctor wants to know if I have sleep apnea. I am unsure. I couldn't answer the questions because I don't tape myself. So during the night. So I couldn't answer the question. So now it's a sleep study, but I believe and I know that sleep is so important to us, especially after 50. And, you know, just thinking about it, and when I'm unable to sleep well at night and I wake up in the mornings, I am so angry with sleep and have to overcome that anger with sleep in order to face the day and what the day holds. And we'll talk about what works and what doesn't work after Mitzi.
Yeah, I've as a teenager, I really needed my 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Like, I knew in order to do well for school and everything, like, I just needed sleep. My sister would get like 5 hours of sleep and she could function. I just couldn't. But the weird thing is that since COVID, I'd say probably about the last year and a half, now my sleep patterns have definitely shifted. So during the beginning parts of COVID, I wasn't being as active as I should have been. We were all in our houses, and I wasn't sleeping well. And then about 2 years ago now, yeah, I think it's been about 2.5 years, I started making sure that first thing in the morning when I get up, I do a minimum of 7,500 steps, usually try and get at least 10,000 in. And I literally just walk around my house. Like, I just wander around my house because it's climate controlled and it works for me. But since I started doing that, it has helped me being able to sleep. If I exercise later in the day, it will interrupt my sleep. But if I exercise, if I do my walking and do that in the morning, then it actually helps me be able to sleep. But I also do frequently use a little assistance to help me sleep as well. So when we're getting into remedies, but now I typically will sort of go and relax in bed for about an hour, cuddle my cats, and just kind of unwind with the lights out and just relax and just kind of review the day and what I'm grateful for, and sort of think about more, and just kind of just be at peace and relax. And then I find that not having any devices, not having any blue light, not having any of that type of stuff around, then I can avoid the monkey brain. But like you, if I wake up in the middle of the night and if I start thinking about something, I'm toast, man. Because once my brain starts going, the key is to somehow make sure it doesn't make that jump. Because once it makes that jump, that's it. So, but now I would say a typical night would be like 11:30 to 6 in the morning kind of sleep, and I can feel pretty refreshed. But I remember as a kid, my great grandmother, she could go like 2 or 3 days without sleeping, but then she would sleep for 2 or 3 days. Like she had this thing where she could go, and then almost catch up. I've never been able to do that. Like,
Wow.
yeah. I can go 1 or 2 nights functioning on 4. If I hit a third night at only 4 hours, I'm toast. Like, you don't want to see that.
Wow. Katriana, what's your sleep like?
My sleep changes all the time. I never used to sleep. Maybe the past 6 months, I tried to go to sleep by 12. And, like when you're young, people say, you don't need I remember someone said, you'll sleep when you die. And as you get older, now all I hear is how you need 8 hours sleep. And, I'm living on 3 hours of sleep. So I tried. So now my body keeps changing. When I get tired now, I just go to sleep. Like, whereas before I was never tired and I was just up, and people would call me 2 o'clock in the morning because they know I'm up. But now, yeah, I try to go to bed by 12. Doesn't always work. So yeah, it's interesting.
One thing I did notice about monkey brain is, and I've had even some of my students do this as well. They will write down everything they need to do the next day on a notepad right beside their bed. Everything that needs to be done, everything they forgot the next day, because scientifically proven, if you get it out of your head and out of your brain, then apparently that really works. And it works for me most of the time. I have to say that this is a new thing for me, but and they say, spend an hour relaxing with no screens, and that's easy to do when you don't have a partner who watches TV before he goes to bed. And you talk about being angry with sleep, Charmin. I get angry at the person who can sleep soundly next to me. I sometimes want to pick up my pillow. It makes me, and he's just that nice, easy breathing, and he doesn't move. And I'm like, oh my God, I may put a pillow over this man's head. Anyway, and then they say some other remedies would be avoid alcohol before you go to bed, and caffeine after noon. And I've done that. I don't do caffeine after lunch. I'm not going to say anything about wine. That's a different topic. But there are some things I have tried. And so one of the things is the gummies. These gummies. Oh, this isn't going. There we go. These gummies, and they are Monsoon, and they are CBN and CBD, but they're also sugar-coated gummies. So the first couple of times I took them, they worked. And then I found my body became immune very quickly. And so I was just having candy before I went to bed. So that wasn't serving me well at all. Then I tried this CBN CBD mix. So there's THC in it, but only enough to activate the CBD and CBN. So there's no high. I found, and it comes with a dropper, and I found this one of the absolute most effective remedies for me. I'll take a dropper 15 minutes before I go to bed. I'll lay there for 10 minutes, and then I fall asleep naturally. I don't find like I'm drugged, I'm going to sleep. So it's a nice relaxing sleep. And when I wake up, I feel totally refreshed. So that works most nights. Something else I discovered just recently is this dream water. I don't know if you've ever seen Dream Water. You can get it at Shoppers Drug Mart. So you can get it at online, but you can get it at Shoppers Drug Mart. And the first time I tried it, I took the full bottle. Not necessary. I woke up feeling a little comatose. But the next time I tried it, I did half the bottle and it was really good as well. I really liked that one. And my last remedy, I just feel like a dealer right now. Is again, it's the same as the oil, except it is just a caplet. So a CBN CBD with like minus 0%, 0.1 mils of THC. So there's literally no high, but apparently the THC needs to be in there to activate the CBN and CBD. So those are my 3 top go-tos that work for me, as well as these new headbands you can buy with the Bluetooth earbuds. Golden. So I put Insight Timer on my phone and it gives you sleep meditations. Put on the Bluetooth and it's super comfortable. You don't have to feel like you're sleeping with earbuds. And I fall asleep to an hour-long guided sleep meditation that are free on Insight Timer. And it knocks me out. And the best time for me to use that remedy is when I wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and my monkey brain starts. So those are things that have really helped. And I'm going to put all of these in the show notes in case anybody needs a reference to that. But those are the things that seem to be working for me. Anyone else have some remedies?
Yeah, I use I tried melatonin, but I didn't like some of the side effects with it for me, so I haven't used that for a long time. I do use a CBD gummy as well some nights. Usually what I'll do is at around 9 o'clock or so, I'll have one and I'll listen to a Mind Valley, some kind of inspirational stuff or something like that for that hour when I've got the lights out and I'm just sort of relaxing and chilling. And then I also put earplugs in. Because I find that it blocks out the sound. My husband is a little bit of a snorer, although apparently so am I, especially if I'm on my back. But I find if I put the earplugs in, it just kind of the white and it muffles out the sound, and it just kind of now it signals to my brain it's sleeping time. It's almost like when I put the earplugs in, it's like my brain says, you know, here's the routine, here's your I think they call it your sleep hygiene. Yeah, right. So sort of creating some kind of a pattern. The other thing that I've noticed is I tend to have a second wind. So I'll be tired around that kind of 10 o'clock mark. If I push myself to stay up and I get a second wind, then I might not be able to fall asleep until 2. And so it's like I'll hit a tired window. If I go to sleep during that window, I'm great. If I can't for whatever reason, or I choose not to and I push past it, then it's like another 3 or 4 hours before I can hit another window. And I think that, you know, most people have a 90-minute sleep cycles, and I think it must somehow tie into that. But for me, I know that that makes a big difference. And no caffeine afternoon. I definitely notice if somebody accidentally gives me a caffeine instead of a decaf when I'm out, I can always tell when I try and go to sleep.
Wow. Like you, I cannot use melatonin. I started to use it as candy, I began with 4, and then I'll be eating 6 and then 8 and still not able to sleep. I find that the sleep meditation helps me. And if sometimes I'm really unable to fall asleep, I do the number 6 and 7 steps of TRE. TRE is tension and trauma and tension releasing exercises. And I'll do the last 2 steps and it relaxes me and I'll fall asleep, and I can sleep soundly for maybe 4 hours or 5 hours. One of my friends sent me shrooms. It's like mushrooms and CBD, and that really helped. And I've been looking for it online, but I can't find it. But that was one of the effective things for me that worked, and I was able to sleep, unless it's pharmaceutical sleep aids I'm able to, but I try not to use that. And so I try natural remedies. I will drink lavender tea or, anything that is not caffeine because I can't use caffeine. Or take a bath with some lavender. That helps sometimes. But what also works is if I go to bed the same time every night, and I'm not that disciplined, if I go to bed every night at the same time, I'm able to sleep and I'll wake up at the same time. But that doesn't always happen. Life is not even perfect. So I'm unable to go to bed 9 o'clock every night or 10 o'clock, and then I'm up at 3. But one thing I found that when monkey brains happen and I pick up my notebook and I write, I have, what can I say, creative thoughts. I am more creative at that time. So it encourages me to write, but it also keeps me up.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I also keep a notepad by my bed and write down stuff that pops into my mind, and before I go to bed, like you say, get everything out. And the other thing I thought is that I also take Relax, RLX, from APL Go. They're like these lozenges. They're like a homeopathic, I think, rapid infused plant DNA lozenges, and I find that those really help. And I actually take a lot of their other ones as well for other health things, but since I've started taking those, I've also found that it kind of helps just calm me.
Yeah, we'll have to put all of these in the show notes. Katriana, do you have some remedies work for you?
Some of the ones that was mentioned, I don't take anything ever. I wanted to say that as a writer, they say that when you wake up at 3 a.m, that's when your muse comes. It's like that is a natural thing. And, my famous Dr. Wayne Dyer, they would say that you should not go to sleep and you should do like Sherman and put, be able to receive the message, because that's when it's quiet and you're most likely to hear what the message is that's coming to you. So when I think of at 3 o'clock in the morning, probably I haven't gone to bed for this to happen, but for normal people, it's a good thing. You probably should, because it said you're not really waking up to go to the bathroom and do all this other stuff. It's like a message trying to come to you. But I recently also found out that I had sleep apnea, which I live alone. So when I would go somewhere, people would say, ask me that. And I was like, no, I think I'm just so tired that I probably snore and I wouldn't know it. So yes, so then I was diagnosed, and I had to wear that the machine, which I haven't worn this month because I'm a little I don't know, I'm a little paranoid about stuff like that. So I didn't know if it was helping. Then I had a eye infection and I didn't know if that came from the filter. So I'm just waiting. But I also always listen to something positive when I go to bed. There are some meditations. I'll just, I have a bunch of them on my YouTube, so I'll just pick something until I go to sleep. So, and rain and all those sounds, they don't work for me.
And I think that you bring up a really good point, which is, right, you kind of have to test different things.
Yeah.
And test them for like a week or two, give them a real test, because like you say, you kind of have to build the habit and let your body learn it to see what will work for you. And it's different. Like for me, I learned like I can't listen to music a few hours before bed, because then I get the song stuck in my head. I get an earworm and I can't get the song out of my head. So, and my husband plays guitar, so sometimes he'll be practicing or whatever. I'm like, okay, I got to go in the other room, honey, or you have to go into the other room, because I'm going to get the song stuck in my head. Like I learned that. And to your point about being able to sleep, my husband can fall asleep like, in 2 seconds. So, he'll watch TV in the living room and I'll go to the bedroom and lie down, as I say, that hour earlier, whatever, and relax. And then, I'm awake when he comes in, but I need that kind of hour to unwind. He doesn't need that. So that's how we kind of figured it. Because before it would be, we'd both be in there, he'd be watching, and then he'd be watching TV, and then I couldn't fall asleep. So, again, trial and error and trying to figure out, okay, what's working, what isn't. Oh, I slept well last night. Why was it? What was different? And kind of maybe writing out a journal of sort of what you did during the day and how you slept. And then, you kind of look back and say, oh, here's the nights I slept good. Here's the nights I didn't sleep good. Oh, look at this. Here's what the commonality is.
Mm-hmm.
I've also heard too, there's, you pick a grocery or a country or whatever with the first letter of the alphabet. So apples, bananas, carrots. Didn't work for me. I ran out of groceries and I got hungry. Didn't work for me at all. But that's another strategy I remember reading about that didn't help me at all.
Wow.
Yeah, and thinking about when you eat too, because for example, too, if we eat late, it will impact my sleep. I need to stop eating around 7 o'clock if I'm going to bed, trying to go to sleep at around 10:30. I need to have that 3 hours. If we're out for whatever reason and we eat late and then I'm trying to go to sleep, it affects me.
Wow.
But again, it was trial and error.
We
Do you guys have the other one? I'm curious about your wine. Does it help you or does it not help you?
It, in my head, it helps me, but then at 3 o'clock in the morning when I wake up, I think maybe it's the sugar in the wine, but I'm in total denial about that. So I'm going to try all the other remedies. And then you wake up. I don't know about you, but I had to get out of the snooze habit, hitting the snooze button. I was reading a lot about what happens there with the snooze, because you hit the snooze button, you fall asleep, then you go back into REM, and you actually need that 90 minutes before your body starts to recover. So if you hit the snooze button, you go back into that deep sleep, and then it goes off again in 10 minutes, you're far, far worse than if you just got up when the alarm went off. There's a lot of research with that. I think Mel Robbins does a whole podcast and has a whole book on that. And it's, I find it's 100% true.
Yeah, I got away from doing the snoozing as well. And I actually at night too, when I go to bed, like I set my alarm for 5:55. It's supposed to be lucky if it's like all the numbers are the same. So 5:55 it is. But I usually sort of say to myself, okay, I'm going to wake up, at 5:50. So I sort of put it in my mind to wake up before my alarm goes off. And most of the time now, I actually do wake up before the alarm goes off, and then I, wake up, turn off the alarm. But I do lie in bed awake, and again, just kind of think about my intention for the day, wiggle my toes with my arms, like try and just sort of, because when you're kind of at that state where you're just waking up, I find, like you say, you can get a lot of great ideas and you're more relaxed and you can kind of work through things and stuff too. So I try and take advantage of that window as well. And figuring out how you like your room. Like I need the room to be really cold. I like a lot of blankets so that my body is warm and I'm not feeling cold, but I need the air to be cold. If it's hot and muggy, I'm toast. I can't sleep.
No.
And my daughter likes it like a sauna. Like I go into her room, if it's 104 or more, she's thrilled. Like, and I need it at 69, 67 to sleep.
Well, that was great information. I think we're ready to wrap up for this episode. And if we have people who are messaging us and want us to talk more about that or find some more research, get a sleep expert on, we're happy to do that, because anything that's going to put me out at night besides the wine would be really helpful. So thank you, Katrina, Mitzi, and Charmin. Thank you to the listeners for joining us. We so appreciate and have a lot of gratitude for you taking the time to listen to the Transforming Lives podcast panel, and we will see you next time. And that's a wrap for the Transforming Lives podcast panel, where we strive to embrace, inspire, and empower our community.
Be sure to subscribe and download. Also, don't forget to leave a review and check the show notes for resources and contacts for all of us. Thank you for listening and see you next time.
Thank you, Sharman.
Thank you, Cheryl.